In this week's episode, I talk about the Venus making a trine to Saturn. This is the goddess of art, beauty, and relationships that is making her harmonious aspect to Saturn, which can stabilize her. So Venus can be supported by Saturn getting what she is wanting. But watch out for Tuesday when Mercury is making that opposition to Neptune. What is your patterns of vision? Are you seeing clearly? To hear more from this week's transits, tune in to this episode of Astrological Intentions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the betwixt butterfly herself, Sandy Reevy. Say hi.
Betwixing. Hello, everyone.
It is episode 161 in August 23rd. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have Venus trine Saturn today, Monday, August 23rd.
I like this.
And Tuesday, August 24th, Mercury opposed Neptune.
Patterns of vision.
And Thursday, August 26th, Mercury trine Pluto.
Ideas have oomph.
Yes. And Talisman times that Sandy has finished up to unify friends as family, and many upcoming that you won't want to miss, including to be fertile and conceive, to study, learn, and integrate astrology, and to become irresistible and popular.
Woo-woo.
So also on the horizon, we have our September astrology forecast happening on live. It's a free event, August 28th, as well as our Mexico retreat with Sandy is almost sold out. And in our house, Sandy has a synchronistic story about her ears being clear. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
And so you finally know you control where you go.
Hello, betwixt butterfly.
I do not know. I have no context for that.
You're just a social butterfly right now, and you're right now that we're doing the podcast, you're kind of like betwixt your plans. You're between your plans.
Right.
So,
it's like, how are we going to fit this in at the last hour?
Right.
We're getting this in.
Seriously.
Usually we don't do it this late in the game of the week.
Right. It's just been a big week for us. So let's get into our going direct. And like every week, thank you everybody for listening. This really is our soul food. So thank you for sending in that feedback. I wanted to share a message that we got from one of our listeners and also a client, Danae. She says, I appreciate the focus and genuineness of Sandy's presentations, whether individual or in a group. This and all the transmission events provide individual connectedness to my own birth chart, which I find extraordinarily exciting. I have dabbled in astrology for many years, and what a fun time to come back around in this way.
Super. That is so nice. Thank you, Danae.
So let's move into the transits. Today, if you're listening on time, Monday, August 23rd, Venus trine Saturn.
I like this. This starts out the day out that way at 7:48 a.m. Of course, these are all central times. Okay, let's think about this. Venus is in the sign of her domicile. She's the ruler here in Libra. So she is the goddess of art, beauty, and relationships. Is anybody getting tired of me saying that? You better say no, because Venus is in one of her home signs. So she's very comfortable here. She's very sweet. She's very charming. And she's making this twice a year aspect in a very harmonious trine, 120 degrees of ease and harmony to Saturn. And Saturn is retrograde and in his own sign. So Saturn has the ability to help with stabilization. And you can use this by establishing support with and from your loved ones. So is this a commitment? Is this a plan, a future plan that you're coming to an agreement with? Is this somehow a relationship that you're getting into and making some really, it's a movement. Yes, a movement forward. Or maybe it has to do with, beautifying yourself or aesthetically pleasing, having a plan for that
a beauty regimen. So perfect. And Venus is happy here. That's kind of surprising, like I wouldn't imagine Venus being super excited to work with Saturn, but it's structured.
And it's a trine. So that helps, first of all, if we're talking about relationships, which I like to talk a lot about when I talk about Venus, and C or B is the fact that she's in her own Libra location. And Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra. So they have an affinity to that Libra, Saturn, Venus connection. So when and this happens twice a year when Venus comes into this aspect, and Venus is making a superior trine. So actually Venus has a beautifying ray or ability to give to, has the upper hand, shall we say. And because she's making this applying, which means it's a superior placement. So she is actually enabling the Saturn to help her out here. So to make making a plan, a settled plan, a foundational relationship.
Awesome. And Tuesday, August 24th, we have Mercury opposed Neptune.
Patterns of vision. Now we have to think that this is an opposition. So Mercury is in his own sign too. He's in Virgo, right? So Mercury is very strong here, and he's opposing Neptune. So yeah, Neptune's in Pisces, very strong, and an outer planet, but the Neptune's retrograde. So your thinking can and must take shape. It doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to understand it. You can let it roam and twist and turn and flow and ebb a bit to formulate a vision, even if it's just for a moment in time and whoosh, it's gone.
Yeah, and this kind of reminds me a little bit about even just fractal patterns. This like beautiful continuation of a natural occurring pattern, and taking on Mercury with that Neptune, it's like, what is this trying to communicate? What is this pattern evolving into? Is it going to be a leaf? Is it going to be a broccoli piece? What is it going to be?
And we have to be careful too, because whenever you add Neptune into a hard aspect, can bring confusion or deception or something that you're not aware of. So you could be tired. This could be like you're sleepy. So when you say that fractal, you can close your eyes and, like a kaleidoscope of la, 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 I'm dreamy, and going into patterns, but they may not stick around long, right? Because it's like, I don't really know what I want, but at least lean into a coloration, lean into something that does make you feel calm and relaxed.
Yes. And Thursday, August 25th, this is our last transit of the week, and Mercury is trining Pluto.
So here we got Mercury in his own sign again, still, right? It's trining Pluto, and Pluto is the big heavy dude of, intense transformation. But when you put these in a trine, this can give ideas, thoughts, opinions, oomph. There's power here, you could call it, in. So you could stay on the form that was coming up yesterday for you and kind of put a transformational power around it. Do you see something a little bit more clearly? Do you need to ask some questions? Do you need to clarify? Do you need to kind of, rotate that dial to get into a deeper aspect? Yeah, a deeper meaning of what maybe was that fractal visions of the day before.
And I think, something that's just coming up for me with Mercury being the ruler of early education, like the things that are just really basically important. It could be, something simple as, even just providing emotional support to the people that you work with is going to be absolutely transformational, because that little seed that you plant or the compliment that you give the person that you just can't stand, or something along those lines, you're creating a very large impact by doing some of the basic things.
And you don't have to say a lot, but you can say one word, one phrase, one sentence, because it's Pluto, and it can hit the right between the rib cage, right between the eyes, and again, it's a trine, so it means it doesn't have that negative, hurtful.
It's more powerful.
It has impact. More of a support. It's like flow, ease of flow.
So that's a short week for us this week. However, the talisman times that you've been working on and the upcoming ones are insane. So shall we start? So you finished up one last week, and that was Tuesday, August 17th, to unify friends as family.
I consider and act upon the situations that weave all of my favorite people together as the delightful, colorful creations that already exist. I stand back to admire. This a lot was going on here. Venus had just moved into her sign of Libra. It was coming up over the horizon, so she's the ruler of the chart. And the sun and the moon were in a really nice aspect of a trine. It's a waxing, so it's an inclusion. And this Venus was making that applying aspect to the Saturn that we just talked about. She was getting very close here last week. And so we pulled that in to unify, again, bring in the people that you love and call them into your tribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love the feeling of that one. It feels so wholesome. So the upcoming talismans, you have 7 upcoming talismans.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We have 3 on Thursday, August 26th, 3 on Sunday, August 29th, and 1 on Monday, August 30th, early next week. So let's start.
And talk about early. These are mostly in the middle of the night.
Wow.
So
let's
I gotta get ready.
Let's talk about this dedication you have to your talismans. So tell me about the first one, to be fertile and conceive.
Thank you, Venus, for beholding and rejoicing in this place of children. You and I agree on the matter, and I honor you to aid me on my wish. This is Venus. Again, we have to go after a lot of Venus talismans this period when Venus is in her own sign of Libra. We've got her in the 5th house where she rejoices, and which is also the house of children. And so she rules it, and she's in there. So that makes this a great...
I always like these talismans when you make the
rare
fertility talismans.
They're rare. Yeah.
So I'm sure this one will be very welcomed by someone. Let's move on to the next one, which is still Thursday, August 26th, to be recognized in a given profession.
I am active member in my community and field. My focus and reputation is known as a caring, energetic, and driven force to get the job done. I do.
Right. And I think, that recognition, that reputation that people have, and I was just recently talking with my boyfriend about this, that, a lot of people are like, well, you have to go to Stanford or you have to go to Harvard in order to make a big, big difference and, know how to make change. And that's so wrong. It's such a wrong way of thinking, because when you prove again and again and again that you're hardworking, that you're loyal, that you're dedicated to make the change, that is the people that you want to facilitate, and they start building their own reputation around it. So to be recognized in a given profession, you do have to keep showing up.
Right. You have to be active. You have to be in the community. You have to be in the field. And you have to have reputation and focus. And you do that by that repetitive
right.
And mature and always kind of leveling up.
And what are the planets that are helping with this talisman?
This is well, it's the two benefics are enclosing the moon. So the moon is the ruler of the chart. We got Cancer rising. Moon is the ruler of the chart and the helmsman, and is in the 10th house, enclosed by Jupiter and Venus. So this just holds a place. In fact, the rest of this whole night, or morning, I should say, is the moon is being enclosed.
And it's been really pretty. If anyone has been able to go outside and watch that full moon that we just had last week, you see Jupiter, you see Saturn around there, you're going to be seeing Venus soon.
Well, you see Venus as soon as the sun goes down. Oh, we watched her last night, and then we waited about an hour, and we turned to the west, and we saw the moon, Saturn, and Jupiter. So when you can put the moon in an enclosure in the magical field of talisman making, it's a special placement. Yes. And it's a 10th house placement. So about career, profession, and
career.
fame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the third and final one for Thursday, August 26th, to enjoy the hidden aspects of a relationship.
Because now we've got that enclosure of the moon, but the moon is now in the 7th house. 7th house is relationships. Mm-hmm. And we have what's coming up over the horizon is Libra. And so Venus is the helmsman, and she's in her own sign. So really, again, a nice place for relationships. Now, why did I even read it? Okay. To enjoy the hidden aspects of a relationship. I rejuvenate my life source by escaping with my mate. Our isolation together suits me during this moment. Shh.
Yeah, a very sacred time. Intimacy is a huge part of having a relationship. Looking at each other and being confident in the fact that you understand one another is huge.
Shh. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So Sunday, August 29th, we have 3 talismans coming up. The first, to dig into any hidden family matters.
I need to know some things. I follow the clues through the past years and uncover what I felt was a missing link. I now know. And now we don't have this moon has moved on, mm-hmm. and we don't have that enclosure any longer. But we do have the moon now is in her exaltation in Taurus. So she's exalted here. And Jupiter is at the top of the chart, the ruler of the 10th house. But more importantly, the ruler of the whole chart is Mercury is in the 4th house. And this is a night chart. So Mars is in there with it, kind of helping to dig into some hidden family matters.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think sometimes it does take a little bit of excavating in family dynamics, because the way that they operate sometimes isn't necessarily the most open or honest.
Yeah. Or clear. Yeah.
Or clear. So, and it's sometimes it can just be like, well, you're only hearing an account from one person and not necessarily the other side. So, okay.
Right. There's always three parts to a story.
There's one person's side, the other person's side, and the actual truth.
Yeah.
So let's see. The next one on Sunday, August 29th, is to study, learn, and integrate astrology. This is perfect. I love this one.
Especially for the Virgo season.
Right.
My mind is clear and easily ingests this foreign ancient subject of cosmic teachings. I get it just as it gets me. We understand each other. Interesting.
Interesting.
Right?
That's like one of my favorite words. Interesting.
This is a Virgo rising with the sun coming up over the horizon. So again, this is getting done at 5:50 a.m. We have the moon making a really tight trine to Mercury, which is also in the first house and actually the ruler of the chart. And the moon has just separated from a Jupiter. So about, having the wisdom, have gained wisdom, and then moon in the 9th house of astrology, making that application to learning astrology, Mercury. Because Mercury, from the get-go, from, 2,000-3,000 years ago, Mercury was always the planet of astrology.
Ah.
And then the modern astrologers assigned it to
Neptune?
To Uranus, when Uranus was discovered in the 18th century.
Interesting.
So that's a really cool one that it has. Yeah, interesting that it has, to learn and to integrate astrology, like understanding it, like bam.
Right. And implementing, because a lot of people that we talk to, and even in our going direct, Danae said, I've dabbled in astrology for many years. I think a lot of people dabble in it, but really to integrate it takes a whole nother level of studying and awareness.
There are times that I will wake up in the middle of the night and just have to picture a chart and just see how the clockwork of the tick-tock, how things move, and it becomes your life, right? You see things differently, you see things deeper and further away, like microscopic and macroscopic, right? Like you can see it, you don't see things lateral or literal so much anymore. So this bracelet will help with that.
And the last talisman you'll make on Sunday, August 29th, is to refine and grow all accounts.
I am pragmatic in my approach to buying and selling my goods. I have help from the thinker, Mercury, along with the benefic, Venus, to make great decisions on my trade. I grow my coffers. So again, this is Sunday, early in the morning. The moon is in Taurus, making an aspect to the Mercury in Virgo. So again, just a really, really nice time, when we can get two planets in aspect to one another that they're able to provide and support the proper resources when they're in their exaltation or they're in their domicile, right? When they're in their exaltation, they get to rise up.
Right, and use their skill set.
Yeah, and Mercury is here right on the ascendant, coming up in his own sign, making an aspect from the moon coming from the 9th house. So, yeah, again, to refine and grow all accounts.
Yes. And so next week, Monday, August 30th, you have another talisman. This one's going to be happening early enough that we're going to mention it here this week.
Yeah, this is at 9:15 in the morning. To become irresistible and popular. Really, I'm excellent at getting my message out to others. Something in the way I write or make art inspires them. How cool that I have this gift. So to recognize it, again, Venus coming up over the horizon. And by the way, everybody, for the next couple weeks, Venus will be in her own sign, coming up over the horizon right around, 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., right around that time. So this is getting done at that time. And the moon, again, is in an air sign, making that trine to Venus to help with, bringing that light down to the earth for popularity and beauty, and what to say at the right. What to say and when to say it, and to who to say it to.
Right, and I think that that's a big element of social constructs. there's no exact way to be irresistible and popular. Like there has to be that something that someone has
the
that
charisma,
attracts people,
the magnetic,
the mystery, the whatever it is. And that kind of reminds me of the Beatles song called Something in the Way She Moves.
Oh.
There is something about that. They even wrote a song about that. So these are great talismans. I'm excited for this week. I know it's going to be absolutely crazy for you. Getting up at midnight, 3 a.m., 5 a.m. So I wish you the best. And
thank you. No, I can do it.
As much as you can be on that universal clock.
Yeah.
So everybody, don't forget, we still have our Talisman of the Month to make alliances and plan a successful route. This is it has its own special price of $222. It is on the site and ready and willing for you if that is your talisman. Also, we do have that Jupiter and Pisces Talisman workshop that comes with all of the reports and the talismans as well. Mm-hmm. So let's move on into the horizon and talk a little bit about this astrology forecast we have coming up, as well as the Mexico retreat. So first up, August 28th, that's this Saturday, we have our September astrology forecast. This is when you and Susan come together, give us all of these dates, all of these reasons why these dates are important, because that's key. And you follow along, you have your cheat sheet there with you, and you just set up your week or set up your month.
Can I talk a little bit about the cheat sheet this month?
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
So you had us start doing this in January of this year, and it's been fun. And as I was writing it this month, I got a very clear sense that there's a fairy tale here. And so when I picked through all of the aspects that we're having for September, it was very apparent it's Rapunzel. Yeah, it's Rapunzel. So I have taken you through the month
as if it were a fairy tale,
as if it were the actual story, the Grimm's brothers fairy tale. Wow. So it's an extra little storyline that you can actually understand a little bit of how the astrology on a particular day would work in a storyline.
And I think that's so cool because really what we're living here is our story. It's our story. And shout out to the story, ladies that had their podcast that totally align so much with our intention bracelets, the talismans that we make, because it's an addition to the story. And astrology is just like this unfolding of your fairy tale and you get to direct it. You're the lead actor, the lead director. It's great. Yeah.
So that's a little extra for you readers of the cheat sheet.
Cool. And we also are going to be adding a little intro written by you and Susan about, what's coming up this month in general. So I'm excited to unveil that too.
Yeah, we've got always something up our sleeve, something
always,
new. Yeah.
Always. And of course, that cheat sheet is available for download now. That link is in the description. Also, if you head over to our website, you'll see it on the homepage. Let's talk about our Mexico retreat. This is your retreatication.
Yeah.
Is that what it was called?
It's called retreatication. And I've just updated some information on the website since I don't know that we're sending out an email about it. So
we are pretty much full. So I don't think we even need to.
I mean, it would be, worthless, useless information.
It'd be a retrograde movement. Yeah. It would definitely be a retrograde movement. But
let's just talk about that for a second, because when you couldn't go, because you have a prior commitment, that I decided to take on a small group. Mm-hmm. Well, the small group has now grown.
Yep.
And I am sitting over here, and we have to make this decision in this week
Right.
Because I have probably 4 people on the waiting list for a spot.
Yes.
And are we going to open it up even bigger? And you show up, right? You come in on like day 2 or 3, and we run full-fledged. Nope. Good.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking we stay to the original plan, which I think is the most, attractive part of it, where it really will feel like a vacation where you wind up learning so much about astrology, learning about your own chart, and having time and space to escape, or to retreat and to gain, not trying to get, have a crazy itinerary where you have to do this and then next hour, starting at on the hour needs to be, something new and something that you have to learn, or like a task or anything like that. And that's, how a lot of our retreats go. We have a full itinerary where we have lesson plans and we have workshops and we have, activities that we go and do, where this will be similar, but it will be on the lighter side, where it is, rest and relaxation are key to this retreat, because there is so much going on, because, the last time we were really there in Mexico, it was a hard time too, having lost my grandpa, your dad. So, I mean, I think that this is also like a step into the healing of that space as well.
Right. So, and that's really what I want to do, but there are so many people wanting to come in, and it's really basically sold out.
Right.
Yeah. But I and we haven't had a chance to talk about it, so we're talking about it on the podcast.
Right. So that's my
take
take on it. That's my take on it. I think we go with the original plan. That was the most enticing part of it. That's what I'm also so excited for you, for the attendees, to really just have it be like a vacation of like-minded people who are ready and willing to learn about astrology. It's that's simple, and we keep it that way. So let's move into our house, where you have a synchronistic story about your ears for us.
I didn't want to say anything about this until I got the all clear. And really interesting storyline, and I think that you guys will enjoy listening to this for a minute. So I've had maddening, itchy ears.
Right, which you downplayed all the time when I would ask
my
you
naturopath
about it.
asked, it's one of the questions on the intake form. She's like, do you have itchy ears? I'm like, yeah, out of 1 to 5, like a 10. Like I use
paper clips, binder clips, nail openers, pens, pencils, your finger.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever you can to insert and scratch
into my ear. So, and it's been going on for a year, 2.5 to maybe 3 years. Here's the story, because that part's, well, the next couple parts aren't all that great either. So the maddening itch, and I go to visit my mom about 2 months ago. And while I'm there, I get an ear infection, and it's painful because the itching thing didn't hurt. It was just maddening. And
yeah, that's all.
That's all. So we get back and you're like, oh, Mom, we need to get you to urgent care. And so we walk up to urgent care up at the corner. We go in and the guy goes, yeah, you have an ear infection. Here's some drops, And I said, oh, will this clear up the itching? He goes, oh, you have itching? And I go, He's like, let's do a culture. So he does a culture of my ears. He says, I'll give you a call in a couple days and see what comes up. He calls me 2 days later and says, you have yeast in your ears. I'm like, ew. No, I don't. He's like, yes, you do, Sandy. I'm like, okay. So he gives me, I have to go get this drops for my ears.
But it wasn't just yeast, right?
So 2 days later,
oh, okay.
he calls me back and says, oh, now we got the 72-hour culture back. You have fungus as well. I'm like, ooh, don't call me anymore. Like, stop it. Don't tell anybody. Gross. Right? So I don't say anything to anybody. And go back to the pharmacy because now I'm like, I need to get rid of this stuff.
Right.
Meanwhile, my ears are still itching. They're weeping like they always do. They're oozing. Right? So I'm thinking something is not right here. And he gave me an ENT to go to a specialist. Well, by the time when I called, they couldn't see me for like 6 weeks.
Right.
Fine. In the interim, one of our clients / friends / intuitives offered a session for our little mini group of constellation bracelet. So she offers this clearing. Mm-hmm. So I do mine about 2 weeks ago, and she does it over the phone. And you just I laid in bed, on top of my bed, and vegged out while she just kind of tapped in from a different state. Tapped in, is like, okay, your crown chakra's all white. It's good. It's clear. It's good. Your third eye, purple, good. Everything's good. Whoa, what is this? You have, I don't know, gunk in both ears. Now, remember, I haven't told anybody because I'm so super embarrassed about this that's in my ears. So I'm just listening, and she's like, we're going to get Raphael working on your right ear, and who do we have working on your left? Oh, Ariel's here. And she's like, Ariel, I barely work with her. She is, the goddess of the lion, which makes sense because I have a Leo rising. So she's saying that they're working with their feathers, and she's like, hold on, I'm going to ask a question. She has to talk to her guides, the angels. And she comes back and says, when did your dad die? And I said, about 2.5, 3 years ago. She said, this is tears you never shed when your dad died. Mm-hmm. And because they didn't come out, they didn't spill out of my eyes onto my face, I trapped them inside, and they went into the next, level.
So your ears had to cry.
The next level of gravity plane, and went into my ears, and been sitting here getting fungus and yeast for the last 2.5 to 3 years, and that's how long I've had it. And I was like, oh my God, because my dad died on December 28th. We buried him on January 3rd. And on January 4th, you and I are heading to Casa Tara to run a retreat. The
Mexico retreat. Mm-hmm.
That we're talking about.
Yes, and it was
So it was stuffed up. I've got to get to work. My dad would be proud of me, continuing on. Mm-hmm. And we ran a large group of... So maybe that's where you're telling me in this call right now, as we have this.
I'm kind of shocked that I didn't even think about, teeing that up, but it was interesting that came out.
That because I feel like that's what I feel like I need to do there is to go teach some astrology, or really go over individual charts. We're going to be talking about the Venus. Venus will be retrograde. She'll be going into her Kazemi. Actually, while we're on the flight on the way home. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be going after Venus phases in everybody's chart, but we're going to also doing some reading of a soul book, and having conversations around dinner, around the pool, around the beach, around the hot tub, around the outdoor palapa. Yes. And we're going to just have conversations. And I really think with what we've just discovered in our recording today is I need this. And really that's why you couldn't go. And I'm like, I still feel like I need to go.
Right.
I need to have a retreatication.
Yes.
So
and
this
that's
might be
so perfect.
I know. Teary
so
cry.
perfect.
I'm going to let it out. And everybody there will as well, too, because everybody will be working on their own things.
Right. And I think that that's the greatest part that comes, when you bring people together and they're aware and they're willing and they're responsible. That's where so much healing can happen, all individually, but together as a group.
So follow through the story. So she's doing this work on me, right? And then goes through the rest of the body and, so she clears. Well, 2 weeks later, and I was out of my medicine. I didn't have any more of those drops to put in my ears. So I have that appointment with the ENT. And she uses this major microscope that's hanging from the ceiling and looks in both ears. And she says, I see nothing. Your ears are completely clear.
Wow.
I don't see yeast. And she said, oh, and fungus looks like wet newspaper. I'm like, ooh.
I mean, that also brings me back to like the paper mache days where you would have the balloon with the wet paper.
So, in other words, completely clear when everyone was telling me how hard it is to get rid of this fungus in your ears. So anyway, I say all that because I really, really, really started writing a testimony for this person's soon to be website of her ability to find something and clear it. Amazing. So it's all cleared.
Awesome.
Ears all cleared.
We were waiting on that. So such a great
crazy story.
Final story, and crazy how it all happened and the synchronicities behind it. So let's wrap this episode. Say goodbye to all of our listeners. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. We will talk to you next week. And until then, have a wonderful week, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
And so you finally know you control where you go.